A dangerous drug concoction is now getting the attention of the White House. We first told you about this a few weeks ago. Fentanyl is often being cut now with xylazine. It's an animal tranquilizer known commonly as Tranq. That combination is killing people, so much so the Biden administration's drug czar is now calling it an emerging threat. NBC's Julia Ainsley has been following this story for us. Julia, you know, I sat down with the drug czar just last week, and he told me that one of the biggest problems right now is that the drug supply is dynamic, meaning if you buy drugs, you don't know what's in there. You don't know what you're getting. How prevalent is this Tranq?
Well, Kate, we've actually been learning so much about this from you, and I saw in your reporting that the DEA found Tranq in 48 out of 50 states and that it's becoming increasingly powerful. They find it in fentanyl powder, and 20% of all fentanyl powder in 2022. Tranq was present in that, and 7% of fentanyl pills. Now, fentanyl is already something that sometimes surprisingly shows up in drugs that are considered to be less potent, and so people are taking fentanyl by surprise and now Tranq by surprise. And of course, as you have educated us so much, Kate, Tranq can leave people with really terrible wounds on their bodies as their skin and organs start to die as a result of what is supposed to be an animal tranquilizer, not a drug for human consumption.
Yeah, it's graphic, it's horrible, it looks bad, and it's potentially lethal. Talk about the policy change here, the statement by the drug czar saying this is an emerging threat. Does that designation mean something in Washington? What is that designed to accomplish?
It does mean something, and the fact that it means that the Biden administration will now come up with a plan. They have 90 days to come up with a plan to address this emerging threat and then 120 days to implement it. This is coming off of lessons learned from the opioid crisis and fentanyl, where these drugs become so widespread, it seems that it's almost too late for the government to really come in and get a handle on them. Hopefully now, with the right funding and cooperation and funding to DEA to go and weed this out, as well as international cooperation, there might be more that the government can do to stop Tranq from getting into the drug supply, especially as you've pointed out, people are taking it without meaning to.
Yeah. And you just said international cooperation. So I have to ask you quickly, you've been reporting extensively on whether the U.S. and Mexico might be coming to some kind of an agreement about stopping some of the fentanyl coming into this country. Where does that stand?
That's right, Kate. They have not yet put anything to paper, but we understand the parameters of this deal have moved forward. There has been some cooperation on the part of Mexicans to sit down with officials from the U.S. to work on ways that they can weed out fentanyl that by and large is coming from China and raw materials, then being manufactured in Mexico before it comes across the border into the U.S. They are looking at trying to supply more of their law enforcement power to stop fentanyl trafficking and also to go after those manufacturers. But at the same time, there's a sticking point in those conversations where Mexican officials are asking the U.S. to do more to stop the gun trafficking that's coming from the U.S. into Mexico. These are all part of agreements and negotiations that are ongoing. In fact, we understand those conversations are continuing this week.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.